So if I have this, okay, if I have 2 plus 3 multiplied by 5 minus 1 divided by 6. What this one will do is, you have this, and then the multiplication will happen first. So it will be 3 times 5 before the division, okay, and then it come back to the addition, and then the subtraction. So in our terms, if we were doing, what we will do is we will say that 2 plus 3, which is 5. Then we say 5 times 5, which is 25. Then we say 25 minus 1, which is 24. Then 24 divided by 6, which is 4.0. But look at the answer that you got here, which is very different from what we just did here. We took it like this, but in the operator precedence, multiplication have the highest precedence before the division, and then the addition, and then subtraction. So this is how the program saw it and then execute. That is why you got this answer. But to overcome or to override the default behavior, what you have to do in general mathematics, you have something called boardmarks. Okay, you just have to put the operators that you want to evaluate first or evaluate first in a parenthesis like this. So I have 2 plus 3. Okay, now say multiply by 5. Then I want to, if I say I want to evaluate this minus 1, then I will divide this by. So what this one will do is, this will evaluate first, and this one too will evaluate second before it come back to the multiplication and then division. Now you have 3.33. Different answer from this, because this was evaluate to 5 and this was 4. So you will get something like this. You have 5, then that will be 4, because 5 minus 1 will be 4. Then you have 20, so you have 20 divided by 6. Now you got your 3.33. Alright, so that is the operator precedence. So you have the opportunity to change the default behavior of the operators if you have so many in your code. You just have to wrap what you want to execute first in the parentheses, and that will be execute first for you. Alright, let's move on. I hope you understand the operation. So what you learn here is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, floor, and modulo. Then we learn the precedence, the order of which the operators appear or have the ability to execute first. And we saw that multiplication have the highest precedence before division, and then addition and subtraction. And we saw that if you want to change the default behavior of the operators, you can use the parentheses to do that by putting what you want to execute first in the parentheses. I hope you understand that. Let's move back to our slide and look at what we have next. Now we have learned about operators, and then we have learned about operator precedence. Let's look at the strings. Okay, so what a string means is, You remember when I was explaining the addition, I used something like a plus 10, which I got the error type error. So this is a strength. Okay, this is a string. And if you remember the first video, if you have not seen that video before, then I recommend you go back and check and come back to this one. If you are new to and you have not subscribed to, let me use this opportunity to tell you that subscribe if you want more content from this channel, and then move on in your Python career. Then subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss feature upload when I upload a new videos. Okay, now in the previous video that I explained about what the Python types, which I said dynamically typed, I explained something there that you don't need to provide the name or the type of what you want to type. For instance, if I want to type 10, which is integer, I don't need to provide the type int or integer for as it is in other programming language. That if you want to declare any variable, you have to bring the data type first. So this is a string. Okay, and then let me go back to the slide and show you something. Okay, so I said a string is a sequence of characters. Okay, it's just multiple characters that you put them together. That is what you call a strings. String has a lot of methods that you can use with. Okay, if I'm explaining the layman language, I'll take human being for instance, or you that you are watching this video now. You have abilities, you have a lot of things that you can do. Okay, or people can use it to do something. People can use your help to do a lot of things. So that is your functions, your method that you can do. You can run. Okay, you can also have ability to help people. Okay, so that is the method that you have. When you come to a string in a programming language, it have a lot of methods that you can use to work with the string. And some of them I've list some of them here. Split, title, lower, is title, upper, capital. There are a lot of them, but I'll just go this fewer things and I'll show you how to get to know more of this method and then learn from them. Okay, so let's move on to the interactive shell and then let me explain to you about the string. Okay, now forget about this name that I just typed here. We will come about what is variables and all those stuff. So for now, bear with me here. Okay, if I type this, now if I use the name, I have the string manifest. Now the way you can get a string or type a string is of two things. It's either you're going to use double quote or a single quote. So we use the double quote to declare a string or a single quote. It doesn't mean I have to go with the double quote each time. So I can say that hello world, like that, and I get back hello world because we are in the interactive shell. Now this is a string and we just declare a string hello world, and as I said, what you use to declare a string is either double quote or single quote. Okay, So I just declare this string. Now there are a lot of methods on this string, and Python give you those kind of method flexibility for you to work with strings. And strings are very important in your programming language because in your program you might encounter a lot of things asking for input from users, and all those input that the user is inputting are getting back as a string, so you need to know them. Now let's look at the methods that I explained about. Let me list them here. We have spread, if I can type this. Then we also have title. You have is title. We also have lower. We also have upper, and so what else? We have capitalize. Capitalize. Okay, not capitalize. Okay. So these are a few methods I want to show you about a string. Okay, so I have the string name, which is stored manifest, which is stored in the variable name. So now I have this string. So if I use the dot, we will come about dot notation and all this, and I'll explain more to you when you are dealing with that is object oriented programming in Python. I'll explain more about the dot operation, but for now just focus on this method that I'm explaining here. So if I have this string and I want to change the string to uppercases or uppercases, now the first letter is just uppercase as you have seen here, but the rest are lowercase. So if I want to change all these letters into uppercase, then what I have to do is I just have to use the dot, then I say upper. Okay, upper with the closing and open and closing parentheses, because it is a function, or I will say a method. So you are calling the method. Don't worry about all this calling and a function, all those stuffs. As I promised, we are going to learn more about all these things as we move on. So for now, just pay attention here. So if I press enter, now you can see here that the manifest, that is the string that we have here, has now turned into uppercase. The previous one has the first letter to be the uppercase and the rest are lowercase. But when I use the upper function or the method on the strings, you can see that it has changed everything into uppercase. Now if I also want to change everything to lowercase, it's a matter of just for me to say name dot, or the variable name dot lower. Okay, and then I type, and then everything changed to, obviously the rest was lowercase, but the first letter was capital. But you can see that the first letter has changed to lowercase. Now before I explain this thing, let me explain about the capitalize before. What capitalize does is it makes sure that the first letter change to uppercase. Now this letter is already uppercase, so even if I apply on it, it will not going to harm anything or change anything. If I say capitalize, nothing happens because the first letter is already a capital. So let me try another string. So if I say you, I just declare a variable and I say, or even if I just use the string like this, you, okay, then I say dot capitalize. Okay. Capitalize like that. You can see that initial U was lowercase, but when I apply the capitalized with, you can see that U has changed to uppercase and the rest is lowercase. So if you have a strength which you want to capital the first letter, maybe someone you are taking input, you are asking the user to input their name, and then the user just type everything into lowercase, and you want to change the first letter into uppercase, then you have to use the capitalize on the string, and that will do the job for you. I hope you understand. Now the split here, I have hello world. Split means that I want to just divide them into their own word. Okay, if I have hello, they are all in one word. If I say split, if I just type split, nothing happen because everything is a word. And then you did not provide anything. Okay, by default, if you don't provide any value between this, by default, if you don't provide any value, what do you want to split on? There is nothing here, so just splitting them based on spaces. But when you look at the hello here, there is no space between the word. So if I space out this letter and then type this, you can see that now hell and low, okay, because there is a space. So by default, when you type split like this, it splits the letter or the characters or the strings based on the spaces that you have in the string. I can also provide something. I can say that I have 2, 24, 37. Mind you, this is not a number because of the quotes around it. It's a string. Okay, I told you that when you want to declare a string, you put it in the quote, and whether it is a number that you have put it in the quote, is still a string. Okay, so when I apply the split, what I want to split on based on the hyphen, so I have to provide like this. I want to split this on the hyphen. So if I press enter, now you can see that it has split the string that I provided into their own strings, a separate strings, using the hyphen to split them. So I believe you understand what the split does on a string. Split just divide your strings for you, either based on the spaces between the strings or based of something that you have in the string that you want to split upon. Just like I have a hyphen here, I split the string based on the hyphens, and I've got a different output. Just like you have a slight, you have a biscuit, and then you are dividing them for your friends to also have. That's lame example. Don't mind me. Okay, let's move on. All right, now let me explain about the title. Okay, so if I have something like this, hello world. Now let me just do this. I have hello world. What title does is, okay, title take each letter or each character or the first character in the word, the string that you have. Now you have two words in the string. This string you have hello and then world. These are the strings. So when I apply the title on it, what it does is it takes the word and then make each character capital. Let me do it here for you to understand that. And you can see that the hello, the H is cap, and then the word, the W is cap. So let me apply it on more example. You are my wonderful, wonderful families on the internet. So I have this string, okay, which every word in the string start with a lowercase. So if I want the each character or each character of a word to start with an uppercase, then I have to apply the title on it like this, and I'll get something like this. So I believe you understand what this title does. Now that you understand this, I can explain to you what is its title. Its title will check, it will return a true or false value based on what the string is. When you apply the its title on a string, it checks is the string start with a capital letter or lower letter. If it does just something like this, so it will check is this string a title like that, then it will return true. So if I have this string, let me bring it here, then I type is title, okay, it return false. It return false because I do not each character, each first character of each word start with lowercase and it's not starting with uppercase. So if I come back here and store this one in the variable m, okay, then I press enter. Now you can see that m stores a string with each word, each character of each word start with uppercase. So now if I apply its title on it, what do you think it will return? True or false? True. It's title because each character in every word start with a capital letter. So that is its title is checking about. You know that title will turn each word, each character in every word into a uppercase. So its title is asking, is every character in every word start with capital letter? If it's so, then it will return true. If not, then it will return false. So that is what returned by its title. Alright. So now that you know all this method upon how to manipulate or get your strings the way you want it to be, I also want to show you how to get to know more method of a string. Now in Python, strings are represented as str, okay, str. Now if I type str and you say class str, which is a string, so that is how Python interprets this. So you can use it. I'll talk about when we are talking about variables. I will talk about default things that you can use in as a variable name in Python. So Python represents a string as str, a short form of strings. So if you want to know more about strings, use or even every method or in Python, every method or anything that you want to find help upon it, you just have to type the word help and then what you want to know about the class that you want to do. So I want to know more about str, and then you have this, you can view it like that. Okay, if you are not using the interactive shell, you are using the command prompt. Let me demonstrate that one to you also. So just type Python and then press enter. Then you press help, exactly the same thing as you did in the interactive shell. Then this will display all the information that you have. So you press space, you give you more, then you read about it. Ubuntu guys to the same thing. Ubuntu or Mac, you just have to go to your terminal and then type Python. In Linux, you have to type the Python version, so Python 3 like that. If you're using Python 2, you have to type Python 2. In Mac, I usually don't know much about Mac, so I think you just have to type Python also, and you go back to Python, and then you can type help as you have it here. Okay, so to get out of this place, you just have to type exit with parent closing and parentheses, and then you press enter. That's it. So another thing that I want to show you is the directory. Okay, this will give you all the methods that you have on the string. So if I want to look at all the method I can have on a string, I just have to type dir, then into the parentheses, I type the string str. When I press enter, I get a whole lot of method on that particular class. Okay, str is a class. So if you want to know more about that class, that is how to go about it. I told you, don't worry, you talk about classes and inheritance when we are doing object-oriented programming. Okay, so you can see the capitalized that we just talked about, and then upper, split, title, is title, and then you have another one called here is digit, which is checking that if the string that you provided is a digit string or not a digit string. So you can find a whole lot of things here that you can work with. Okay, so let me, now that we are talking about strings, let me now take this opportunity to talk about concatenation. Concatenation means that we are joining the two strings together. Okay, so if I have a now I want to join b to it, remember the addition operation. Okay, the addition operation here is not in the terms of mathematics. We are not adding a and b together to get another word, another number. Like for instance, if you add 10 and 1, you get 11. This here means that we are concatenating the strings a and b. We are concatenating them, meaning that we are joining them together to get ab. So if I press enter here, you see I have one string called ab, and that is stemmed by concatenation. If you remember the previous example, when I was using the 10 and the a, I wanted to add those things together. You saw the error message, which is type error, and then provide something like here, can only concatenate strings. So that is this one that he was talking about. So if you want to concatenate, then those two must be a string like this before you concatenate them. And if you want to add them, it should be either a numbers, like numbers, integer, double, no, sorry, not string, numbers, float, integer, and all those stars. Okay, before you can add them. And if you want to join two strings together, it's also the same operation using the addition operation. But this time around, both of them, the left side and the right side, both of them must be a straight before it can concatenate together. Now, if I want to add a number to a string and I just want to concatenate these two numbers, then I have to do something called, should I go because it's time, lot of time. time is in here, so I have to okay. So when we look at this, I'll just explain this and then I'll stop here because a lot of time has taken. All right. Now, if I go back to the slide, okay. Mm, Now, I've already talked about numbers. There is the integers, long, float, and complex. So let me use this opportunity to explain to you. Okay, so integer is just a single number. Okay, just a single integer. Long long is a huge number. I will explain it in the interactive shell. So let me just explain here before I move there. Now we have the complex. Complex numbers have the form of a plus b g. Okay, where a is the float, the first float, and a and b are the float numbers. Okay, and then the g it represent the square root of a negative 1. Okay, square root of negative 1, which is imaginary number. This is in mathematics, and this we don't normally use it too much, so we don't need to worry about it much. Now let's move to the interactive shell and let me explain about what I'm talking about here. Okay, so I have, when I say integer, okay, int, we start in Python, we use int like this to represent the integer. And integers are the single or the whole numbers from positive whole number and negative whole number, like 1, negative 1, 1, 10, negative 10, look at me, negative 10, negative 11. All these are the integers, okay? And when we come to the long integer, something like this, 5, 7, 8, 8, 9, like that, you will see L, which indicates that this integer is a long integer. Whenever you see huge number with L ending, it tells you that this is a long integer. Okay, and then the complex numbers start like this. It can be 4.54 G, like that. Okay, so that is a complex number. Okay, so we have something like type conversion. Type conversion. I believe I spelled this conversion right. Okay, so what does this type conversion mean? What it means is that you want to change one type to another type. Okay, so I have 10, which is an integer. Okay, if I press this, I'll get 10, and then float is something like this. That is a float. Okay, float or double, which is ending with a decimal places. Now, if I want to convert int to float, that is where the term type conversion comes in. So, if I want to change it, I have int like this. Okay, I have float like that. sorry, same thing as float. But in Python we use float. In other program languages we have double. So I wanted to show you that. Now I also have the complex. Okay, complex like that. So I have int, I have float, and I have complex. So if I want to change integer number to a float, what I have to do is I have to type the class name. So int is a class name which stands for integer. Float is a class name. Complex is a class name. So if I want to convert integer to a float, what I have to do is I have to type the class name float, open a parenthesis, and then type the number I want to convert to a float. So seriously, look at me. Okay. Now initially you saw that when I typed in here, it only printed a single number. Now look at this one. See 10.0. Converted the number to what? Integer. It converted the integer number to a float or decimal or double number. To prove to you, I will store this in a variable num float 20. Okay, if I use num, I have here 20.0. If I want to know, this is very important, so you can keep in your pocket. To know the type of that particular variable or anything in Python, you have to type the word type. Okay, type num. So we say which type is this, and then tells you that it's a float. Okay, a float class. Float class because we have already converted this number, integer number, to a float. Okay, if I say type 20 like that, see, tells you that class int because it's an integer. So you can see that we converted integer to a float here, and then when you check the type, we have a float. Same way we can convert this float number back to integer again by typing int. Then let me use the num. Okay, we'll get back 20 and 3.5555 like that. 444, but I'm saying 555. Don't worry, man. Let's move on. Okay, so that's it. That is how to convert a number from a float to integer or integer to a float. Okay, now let me show you how to also convert complex number to or two numbers to a complex number. So I have to say complex. Okay, I want to change these numbers to a complex. 2, 4. Okay, you can see that we have 2 plus 4 j. This j tells you that this number is a complex number. Okay, and this 2 is the float, and this 4 is the imaginary number that you have already. So that is how to convert number from to convert a number to a complex. Okay, you provide the two number, the float number and then your imaginary number second, then that will convert it automatically to you. Alright, now if you saw the methods in the strength, you have a digit. Okay, what it means is that you remember this example. Let me go back to that example. These numbers, but because of this quotes or the parenthesis, sorry, because of this quotes here, double quotes, it has turned from a number to string, okay, or digit to string. So if I have something like that, like this. Although if I let me store this in a variable, then we use it, type, and tells you that it's a class of string. Okay, that is the type. It is a string, even though you see it as a number here, but because of the code, it's a string. Now, if I want to know if that string is really a string or numbers or digit, then I have to say n dot is digit. Okay, then true is digit, because the thing inside is not actually a string, but it's digit because of the code it has turned to strings. Okay, this way, if I check that is a digit, and this way I can turn this into a integer by using the int, that is the type conversion. So you can see here that we are converting string to integer. So I just have to provide that string, and then you provide the give you back 58. So to catch it and prove to you that this really has turned into an integer, I will store it in the variable, then explain. Use the type method on it. Okay, so if I say type G, what type is that? Integer. Okay, so that is how to convert from any type to other type. We have converting from int to float, from float to int. All you have to do is provide a type there. So you have int, then you provide what values that you want to convert back to integer, and that will convert it back to integer for you. Same way applies to float. Also provide the name of the class, and inside it you provide what you want to convert to float, and it will do for you. And when you have a string and we are not really sure if that string is a integer, you just numbers or a rare strings, you can use the is digit, okay, to check. And if that is a digit and you want to convert it back to integer, you also use the int. So this is how to convert in Python the data types. Alright, so with that being said, we have already talked about operators, operator precedence, strings, and then numbers. Sorry about this. We have talked about numbers, and then type conversion. Okay, so you talk about variables and booleans and conditional operators next time that we meet, because the time is really gone far ahead of us. Alright guys, I would like to pause here because the time is really far behind us. We will continue this discussion next time we meet, so stay tuned and then continue practicing what we have learned here by just going through your interactive shell and then converting things and play with the strings and then the methods that you have there. That way you not forget them. So thank you for sticking to this end, and stay blessed and have a nice weekend. See you next week.